Hey everybody, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time setting up what we call the Mystery Density Lab. When you get back to the lab, after doing all your pre-lab stuff, you will find these boxes that say Density Mystery. And in these boxes are these rods. There are a variety of rods, and there are 15 of them, and they all have different heights. They're all different sizes. Okay? Then you're going to put them all in this wooden thing like that. Okay. The point of the lab though, is to determine how many different plastics the set of rods is made out of. So the rods, they all look alike with the exception of their length. But what I know is they're made of different types of plastic. Your job is to determine how many different types of plastics the rods are made out of. The 15 could be made of 2 different types of plastics, 3 different types of plastics, 4 different types of plastics. I will give you a hint. The rods are made of not one type of plastic. They're made of at least 2 different types of plastic. And they're made with less than 15 types of plastic. So each rod is not a separate plastic. Okay, so it could be that these 2 rods are one type of plastic and this rod is another type of plastic, but you won't be able to tell that until you actually do some measurements. And we're going to do that we're going to analyze this using density, but we're not going to calculate the density straight away like I showed you in the previous video, because, for example, these 2 rods, if you calculated the density of these 2 rods, they could be close, and you could assume that they're the same density, when in fact they could be 2 different densities. So we have to do something bigger with this that allows us to analyze our data a little bit better. And that's where we're going to end up graphing density. I've put all of these things in here. Now the one thing that you're going to want to make sure you do is arrange these in some sort of way that makes sense. Okay, maybe tallest to shortest, or shortest to tallest, but you need to make sure somehow that makes sense. So now I've arranged these so that they all make sense here. If you look, I've arranged them in terms of height. And so what I can do is I can say, well, this is rod 1 here, the smallest one. Then we go through and this is rod 15, or rod A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Okay, or whatever. But somehow you're going to have to identify which rod is which. And then you're going to grab the rod using a ruler. You're going to measure its diameter. Let me make sure. Diameter across the top. And you're going to measure its height from the top to bottom. Why do we do this? Because the formula for the volume of a cylinder, and if we're exploring density, we need to know the volume, is pi r squared h. So we need to have the diameter, which we can then divide by 2 to determine the radius, and we need the height. With those 2 values combined, we can determine its volume. And then we're going to put it on the balance, and once we have the mass, we can compare volumes to mass using a graph. And then from there, we'll be able to figure out how many different plastics the set of rods is made from. So let me take a minute also then to show you how to use the graphing software that we have. We're going to use Plotly. So what I've done is I've gone to Plotly here, and I hope you can see the whole thing. There's some things outside if you go this way, and if you go this way that you can't really see. But okay, my hope is that you can see everything that I need. So the first thing we're going to do is sign in. My hope is that everybody use their Google to sign in. If you haven't created an account, just create it using the G+. Okay, if you've already created an account, sign in using the G+. Then it's going to go through some stuff, and then once you get it, here we go. This is good. Okay, and so you're going to click on New Project, and what this allows us to do then is to start a spreadsheet program. Okay, the spreadsheet program is going to then allow us to analyze our data so that we can get really good data. Okay, and so what we want to do is start here by renaming the columns. Okay, we're going to do a column for the rod number. We're going to do the column for the diameter. We're going to do a column for the height, Height, make sure that's right. Don't worry about these if they get highlighted. And then we're going to make a column for the mass. Okay, and then those are the four things that we measured in the lab. Notice I'm not doing any calculations yet. Okay, and so what I can do is I can plug in here using the numbers, all the rods, and there were 15 of them. And then rod 1 was the shortest rod, okay, but its diameter was about 1.51 centimeters, and its height was, let's say, 3.76 centimeters. And when we did its mass was 20.78 grams. Okay, now realize I'm making those values up. If your values are different than this, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so through the wonders of technology, we now have this all completely filled in. Now let me show you some of the things that we get to do. Turns out that Plotly will do a lot of calculations for us. Spreadsheets typically do. So one example is we want the diameter. Or sorry, we measured the diameter, but we don't want the diameter. We want the radius. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over and use our data tools, and we're going to do a formula. And so it says choose an X and or Y column. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose the diameter as X, and what we're going to do is we're going to take X and divide it by 2. And then what happens when we run that is, look, here's all your values for that. And now we can go here and we can rename this, and we can go radius. And that, I think, is something that we want. Okay. Now the same is true here. Let's get rid of that as an X value. Okay. Let's go, let's do the volume. Okay. The volume is pi r squared times h. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, so we need the radius and the height. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, and we need them both. We need two different values. So we're going to say that the new column is 3.14. Whoop, let me make sure that I'm in the thing here. The new column is going to be 3.14. And you can carry that out to as much as you want. That's the numeric value of pi times x squared times height, and in this case the height is y. So we're going to run that. Okay, and look, now we have all of these values for the volume, and to make sure that it's good, we're going to rename that. We're going to say volume. Okay. Oop, make sure it says my V sticks, so VOLUME, volume. There it is. So now we have volume, and now what we can do is run a graph. What we want to do is make a plot. And so we can scatter plot, and then we can choose, well, what is density? Density is mass per unit volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to put mass on the x-axis. So we're going to put mass here, and then we're going to put volume on the y-axis, and we're going to do a scatter plot. In order to do that, you hit scatter plot. Now this is going to show up, and this is different. This is not what you should get. But notice here, when you look at this, you end up with data for mine that is pretty much a straight line. Okay? That tells me that there is only one plastic that is being used for this set of rods. Let's see if we can figure this out, because let's see, do you guys know what slope is? Slope is rise over run. Okay, rise over run. And so, let me go back. Okay, I did this backwards. You want to put your volume as your x value. Okay. Rise over run is that. So now you're going to make the plot, scatter plot, and you go, okay, same thing. So rise over run is slope. Well, in this case, our rise is mass, and this is how easy it is to change things if you do things backwards. The rise is mass, and the run is volume. So rise over run, mass over volume. Well, the slope of this guy is density. Well, every material should have a unique density. Well, how many slopes, how many lines are there on that graph? Well, there's really just one. These guys are it's close enough to the data, to that line, it's close enough to a straight line that there's only one line there, which would indicate that the plastics are there's only one type of plastic. You, on the other hand, you're going to do all of what I just did. You're going to plot volume versus mass, or mass versus volume. And then you're going to find out how many lines there are. Each line will indicate how many plastics there are. And then you're going to write up a lab report that is a response to how many plastics the set of rods is made out of. So I hope this little tutorial helps you. You can't do the lab until you actually watch these couple of videos. So I hope this helps, and you can always refer back to them as often as you want. Okay, good luck.